What's up, everyone? Welcome into the Cannonballs podcast. As always, I'm one of your hosts, Dane Cannon. Co-hosting with me today is
your boy, Jake Mother Effin' Bowes on the mic 1-2.
And guys, we are officially done with week 5 of the NFL 2023 season. Some good games, some games that were definitely not even worth mentioning, some blowouts in there. We're going to get into that. We're going to recap everything. We're going to go Thursday through Monday. We are recording this Monday night after Monday Night Football. Guys, let's get into it. Follow us on our Instagram here. Like, comment, subscribe. You know the deal. Jake, do you have anything to add before we get going?
Yeah, I just wanted to apologize to everyone. We didn't put out our predictions episode. Just got busy with life shit. So sorry about that. But I will let you know what our predictions were and how many we got right.
I actually wrote them all down this time, surprisingly for both of us.
Hey, so did I. But I'm ready to get into it. Like Dane said, there was a lot of fun games. Actually, there was quite a bit, not as good as week 4, but there were some really good games this weekend.
Sure.
But let's get into the Thursday night game, Dane. So
this one was kind of a shocker, to be honest.
To me,
not a shocker of who won. Like I think this one could have gone either way, but the score. I think the score is kind of what shocked me.
Yeah. So the Chicago Bears beat the Washington Commanders 40-20, and this was Justin Fields' best game of the 2023 season so far.
I think this might have been his best game he's played.
Yeah. Actually, it was his first 300-yard. I thought he threw for 300 yards.
No, but he threw for 4 touchdowns. That's something.
Yeah. I mean, DJ Moore went freaking off in this game.
Yes, he did.
But like, the reason I say it wasn't surprising to me is I'm still not sold on the Commanders. I know they played good against the Eagles last week, and they've had a couple flashes. This game just kind of proves it to me. Like, it's going to be an up and down year all year for the Commanders. They'll probably play their division opponents, the Eagles, the Cowboys really hard, and, end up losing both of the games. We'll see. I don't want to take too much away from the Bears, but it was the Commanders, and, but good job for the Bears. They played fantastically against probably a superior team, if not by much, but, I would say they should on paper be a lot better than the Bears.
Especially the defense for the Commanders. The Commanders' defense on paper is pretty decent, but they are playing so terribly. This is one of the worst defenses I've seen. It's god awful.
Yeah, I mean, and they really didn't do much all night. They got 3 sacks, 0 interceptions, I believe. Yeah, 0 interceptions. It looked like Justin Fields was just calm and poised back there in the pocket pretty much the whole game. Whereas, on the other side of the ball, I feel like the Bears defense came to play as well.
They did.
I think they picked off Sam Howell 3 times, 2 times, or just 1 time.
He threw 1 interception.
Yeah, I mean he almost threw for 400 yards. I did not know that.
I mean, Sam Howell, I will say this: he didn't look terrible. I think the stats kind of make him seem like he did a better job than he did. I mean, they really couldn't get much going on offense, especially in the first half. It was pitiful. It was pretty much Chicago all the way in the first half. They were dominant. Justin Fields looked poised. He was on target. His receivers were getting a good amount of separation. And like you said, DJ Moore went off this game. He absolutely single-handedly destroyed him and Justin Fields. They destroyed the Washington Commanders. I don't have too much else to say about this game in particular. I just think that this is a good win. I mean, Chicago's offense has looked a lot better the last 2 weeks. Granted, they've played 2 weak defenses, but they have looked a lot better. So who knows? Maybe this is some momentum for Chicago Bear fans to build upon.
Yeah, I'm not going to get too carried away. I still think they're a pretty bad team. I think, this is what they did last year. They had a couple good flashes, and then this is why everyone was so excited, I don't know why, about Justin Fields and thought the Bears were going to win the division. I don't know why. It's not going to happen. But, they'll probably piece together a couple more wins against some bad teams, and I hope Justin Fields improves or can build off of this game 100%. But I'm just not going to get carried away with the wins because you know, it's looking like the Broncos are one of the worst team, or if not the worst team. At least that defense is freaking terrible. And then the Commanders, I still don't know what that team is. I don't know if they'll ever be good. But yeah, let's move on. Good win for the Bears. Also, we both picked the Commanders to win that game, so we got that pick wrong. But let's go to Sunday morning. This was an England game, and we also got this game wrong.
Okay, we did.
Jacksonville Jaguars beat the Buffalo Bills 25-20. And I'll say this about the game. The defenses were playing really good for like 3/4 of the game. Actually, yeah, like 3/4. And then the offenses decided to, actually put some points up. And, but yeah, I mean, honestly, to me, the Bills look sluggish. They look jet lagged.
Yeah, I think that's a big part of it is the fact that Jacksonville got to stay in England for an entire week. So they weren't jet lagged. They were prepared. They got to stay overseas, and traveling definitely has an impact. And I'm not going to say it's an unfair advantage, but it kind of is to a certain extent, because when you have a London game, usually both teams are traveling overseas. And so both teams are kind of dealing with the jet lag. But in this case, only one team was. So it is a little bit of an advantage, even though this was deemed a home game for Buffalo. It definitely wasn't the case, because Jacksonville got to be there as the home team last week. They got to stay there. I will say Trevor Lawrence definitely looked better this game. He was, slinging the rock around. He was hitting his targets in stride. It was good to see Calvin Ridley have a bounce back game. He didn't have a touchdown, but 122 yards. That's a good performance. And Travis Etienne, he balled out this game. He definitely balled out. Jacksonville's defense stepped up when they needed to. And on the other side of the ball, I mean, Josh Allen, he had a good game. He threw for almost 400 yards, 2 touchdowns, had the costly interception. But Stephon Diggs, he balled out. He had 121 and 1. They just couldn't get anything going on the ground. And that's a testament to Jacksonville's rush defense, I think. And overall, I think Jacksonville had a great game plan. And great win for Jacksonville.
Yeah, I think this is going to be interesting as far as playoff scenarios down the line. I still think the Bills are probably the best team in the AFC. But at a moment's notice, that could totally flip around. In my opinion, I think Josh Allen is probably playing like the front runner for the MVP. At least statistically, I would say. He looks good. He didn't look super like dominant like last week, but he still played a good game. I think it just hurt that they couldn't get that rushing attack going. But this is going to be an interesting playoffs scenario for playoffs, because if it comes down to how close this game is, or how close this conference is, and if it comes down to this game, Jaguars could sneak into playoffs, or playoff seeding, blah blah blah. But yeah, good win for the Jags. So I think I already said we didn't pick the Jags to win, so
Correct.
We got that one
We're
wrong.
0-2 so far.
Yeah. However, we did get this next one correct. Indianapolis Colts beat the Tennessee Titans 23-16. Dane and I both picked it. And man, okay, well, first off, not so breaking news. Jonathan Taylor got paid. He was back.
But he didn't do shit.
Yeah, he was on a pitch count, so I'm not 5 weeks in, not playing. Coming off injury, whatever. He looked okay on the runs that he did get. But this was the Zach Moss show, man.
Dude,
Zach Moss,
165 and 2.
Yeah, he
had that
out.
like 50-yard run or whatever it was. That was dude, Zach Moss, since he's come over to Indianapolis, he's looked great. He didn't do shit in Buffalo, but I don't know if it's the scheme or performance enhancing drugs or whatever it is, but he is looking like a different beast.
I think it's the O-line. I think the Colts have a really good O-line.
Which is so crazy because last year it was terrible.
It's crazy because it's pretty much, I think it's 4 of the 5 same starters from last year, but we thought they were going to be like one of the best O-lines, and they were terrible. But then they're the same play. They're pretty much the same group this year, but they're like a top 10 unit. Maybe they just had an off year. It happens, I guess. But if once Jonathan Taylor gets up to speed, Zach Moss and Jonathan Taylor, dude, that's going to be a scary running back tandem. Unfortunately, Anthony Richardson went down with a shoulder injury. I'm assuming it's like a dislocated shoulder or something.
No, it's a sprain. It's a grade 3 sprained AC joint.
Oh, so how serious is that?
I don't think that. So in the overall grand scheme of things, it's not serious. Like, it's not a torn ligament, it's not a dislocated shoulder, but he is going to miss some time. I think that they're probably going to put him on IR, if I was going to imagine. So he'll probably miss 4 weeks. That's what I would imagine.
All right. Well, Gardner Minshew is more than capable of leading this team, especially with the run game.
Mm-hmm.
And the biggest surprise, we were a year early, Dane. The defense and the O-line, man, they have greatly improved. That defense is playing nasty.
It really is. And I think we predicted them to win the division last year, didn't we? And that was like one of our biggest
whiffs.
Like whiffs that we've had.
We were just a year early. I honestly, the way they're playing, I think they could compete for sure. I think they can get. I mean, they almost beat the Jacksonville Jags. I'm sure they'll probably try to get one on them. But they look good. On the Tennessee side of the ball, D-Hop, bro, vintage D-Hop.
Yeah,
oh
he
my.
looked great, and not only that, man, the guy's hands are just made of glue. Like, those 5XL gloves really come in handy. He didn't do much after the catch, but he doesn't need to, because his route running is so elite, and he can just box DBs out like no other. He was high pointing balls. He was looking great. This was one of the best performances I've seen from D-Hop in the last like 2-3 years. I mean, it was really good. I think the concerning thing is Derrick Henry has been kind of up and down this year, and he didn't really do much this game. Good thing they drafted Tajay Spears, because Tajay Spears, he looks good. He's got some juice. He's a young running back, and I think
got
that
his touchdown.
Got his touchdown. And I think that Tennessee's going to be fine. I think the biggest surprise for me is Tennessee's run defense, which is supposed to be like one of the best in the NFL, if not the best. They got torched. Zach Moss was the running back who torched them to the ground, and
yeah.
Honestly, I'm really impressed with Indianapolis this year. They're a competitive team, and I think Gardner Minshew is a fully capable quarterback to get it done. So good for them.
Yeah, I think what you were saying about Tennessee's D-line, I think it's just a testament to how solid this O-line is for the Indianapolis Colts. And, when you have a rookie quarterback, or even a, not an elite, Gardner Minshew is not elite, but he's serviceable, and that's going to be his best friend. It's going to give him time to distribute the ball, hand the ball off. I think this team will be fine. I think they'll win a lot more games than we originally thought. And like I said, I think they might compete for this division if they can keep this up. But great win for the Colts. Let's move on to the next one. Holy shit. I sent you a meme on Sunday of Bill Belichick, and it was that SpongeBob. Dude. You want to see me have my worst career loss? You want to see me do it again? He almost broke his own worst record. New Orleans Saints absolutely cream pied the New England Patriots 34-0. The crazy thing is, I don't think the Saints are this good. I mean, I think they'll probably win. In my opinion, they'll win the division. They'll probably be a one and done team just because of Derek Carr. I can't trust him. But the fact that they cream pied the Patriots this badly, I think this is more of how bad the Patriots are.
Yeah, I think it's straight lack of talent. There is not enough talent on this team. And Bill Belichick, I think he's a great head coach, but we've seen him in his drafting, because he's also like the one who does the drafting. And I don't know if it's more of like an ego thing, where ever since he drafted Tom Brady, he feels like he can just scout players that a lot of NFL like scouts don't recommend, and he's just better than them. But it has not worked out the last couple of years. And ever since Tom Brady left, this team has not looked good. I mean, they made it to playoffs the first year with Mac Jones, but I don't know, man. Something's got to give. And even though New England's defense is good, they can't run the ball recently. They've gotten shut out. Mac Jones has looked terrible. And I mean like terrible, terrible, like one of the worst quarterbacks I've seen. And the offense is just abysmal, man. They've scored 3 points the last 2 weeks, and I think they've been outscored like 73-3 in the last 2 weeks, which is ridiculous.
Yeah, it's I mean, their running back room. I've never been a giant fan of Ramondre. I know some people are very high on him. When you're on a bad team, this is why I don't like to take players in fantasy that are on bad teams. Sometimes they just don't perform. And I can tell you as an owner of Ramondre,
he has not performed.
Yeah. And then, I mean, you look at the wide receiver room. Who is their best wide receiver? Kendrick Bourne. Okay, I love Kendrick Bourne because he was a former 49er, but Kendrick Bourne was the third wide receiver on that team, maybe the fourth.
I mean,
and that's your number one.
I would honestly say the best wide receiver is not even a wide receiver. I think it's Hunter Henry, and he's the tight end. I think he's the best receiving option that they have.
And they haven't gotten him the ball in the last 2 games.
Yeah.
I don't know what the hell is going to happen with Mac Jones. I mean, I agree with you 100%. He has not looked the part. He has not looked great. He's a dirty player also. He's probably getting a little bit of karma. I don't think that gets talked about nearly enough. But, I know Bailey Zappi has played twice, but, last year they won games with Bailey Zappi. And sometimes, I hate to bring it back to my team, but, when you draft a quarterback in the first round, a lot of teams don't know when to cut ties. Like, it's just like, this is not working out and we're going to try whoever's better. Like, I know you're getting paid more. You're a higher draft pick. Sorry, dude, you suck. Like, I don't know what it is, but you're just sucking. Maybe that's going to put a fire in his ass if he doesn't start. I don't know. But yeah, the Patriots do not look great by any means. They're 1-4. Yeah, I mean, I don't really have much left to talk about this game.
I mean, this was an absolute dominant performance by New Orleans. Credit to their defense. They balled out. Alvin Kamara looked great coming back. They also utilized Kendre Miller a little bit in the passing game, which was good to see him actually be utilized. Didn't do much on the ground, but, utilizing him in the passing game was good. Derek Carr still dealing with the AC joint injury as well, kind of like Anthony Richardson. So who knows? Maybe Anthony Richardson's injury will be something similar to like a Derek Carr, but it's going to be a lot of short passing game. So if that's the case, but either way, good job for the New Orleans Saints, especially going to Gillette Stadium to pull the dub out like they did.
Yep. Also, I want to remind everyone, we both picked the Saints.
Yes.
So, yes. All right. So next game, this one was a bit of a shocker. Pittsburgh Steelers beat the Baltimore Ravens 17-10. And if you guys are paying attention,
dude,
Kenny Pickett was not supposed to play this game.
Dude,
we did not pick the Pits. We did not pick the Steelers. And honestly,
we thought it was going to be Mitchell Trubisky.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure
Kenny Pickett was supposed to miss a couple weeks, if not the entire season.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure it was either you or me. We guaranteed Mitch Trubisky would throw an interception.
Yep.
This was probably in our predictions episode that we did not put out. Man, Kenny Pickett. I mean, honestly, I'm gonna say, like, congratulations, Steelers. Like, you guys played a hard fought battle, but it didn't look pretty for 3.5 quarters.
I'll say the offense didn't look pretty for the first three quarters.
Yes.
The defense was balling out, and
the defense is why they won that game. In my opinion.
Well, defense, special teams. I mean, the blocked punt is definitely what turned the momentum. And then TJ Watt coming up with a crucial sack to end the game. I mean, TJ Watt is such a good defensive player of the year. It's good to see him back out on the field because last year dealt with the injury, didn't get to see him. Pittsburgh's defense looked atrocious. Having TJ Watt out there is like having the best player on the field. It is such a difference maker. One thing that I want to talk about for Baltimore, though, I think Lamar actually played a good game. His receivers fucked him up. His receivers dropped touchdown after touchdown, pass after pass. I think they had 7 drops this game, which is terrible. Rashad Bateman, that was one of the worst drops I've seen in the NFL. That was a give me. It was a lob, and he dropped it. And then
Nelson
surprising,
Aguilar, I believe, dropped a couple.
Mark Andrews dropped a touchdown, which, it wasn't the easiest catch, but it's Mark Andrews. Like, you expect him to make that catch. Like, Lamar was putting the ball right where his receivers could get it. And then was it Zay Flowers? Did he have a fumble? Is that what it was? No, it was Justice Hill and
Justice
Lamar.
Hill,
Lamar Jackson had a fumble as well.
Yeah.
And then I think Lamar had an interception. Yeah, he had an interception as well. It wasn't the prettiest game by Lamar, but he also had some really good passes. I'm not putting this one on Lamar. Even though it's 2 turnovers, I get that, but his receivers let him down this game. And I think that was the reason they lost. I think it's because the offense could not catch the ball.
Yeah, the offense, they're like the complete opposite of the Patriots, and sort of like they have talent. Like Lamar's talented, Mark Andrews is talented, Zay Flowers is talented. I'll even say Rashad Bateman and who's the other wide receiver? Rashad Bateman and Devin Duvernay. They have talent. OBJ unfortunately got injured again, but he has talent. But for some reason, this team has not looked like high caliber. At all. Like the biggest weapon, and it is a huge weapon, is Lamar's feet. And I'll agree with you. Like, he was throwing a lot better on Sunday, but you got to catch the ball, man. But you know what? I'm done talking about the Ravens, the Steelers, George Pickens.
George Pickens is him. George Pickens has arrived. And I will say that, not to discredit Kenny Pickett, but if George Pickens was on say the Chiefs or the Bills or the Chargers, the 49ers, this guy would be one of the top 10 receivers in the NFL. I think he's kind of emerging as that, honestly, because his hands are second to none, other than maybe
his
DeAndre Hopkins or something like that. And George Pickens is faster than I expected. He's got some burning speed, and I don't know, man. George Pickens is kind of looking like a steal in the draft. Coming out of Georgia, he was great.
His sideline ability to catch on next to the sideline. I don't know the right way to say
sideline catches. Yeah,
sideline catches is out of this freaking world. I don't think I've seen. I think the last person I remember seeing that good was AJ Green, if I remember correctly. AJ Green was a beast.
In his prime, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, dude, this guy is really good. He's super athletic. He makes OBJ type catches, those iconic one-hander catches.
Consistently too. Yeah. It's not just a one-off. Yeah. He'll do it on a weekly basis. I mean, it hasn't been every week, but you know what I mean? If he's given the opportunity and he has the ability to make the catch, he usually does.
Dude, and I'll say this, Pittsburgh produces wide receivers, historically. They produce Hall of Fame wide receivers. Is this dude the next one? Because I'm here for it. I like him. I think he's funny. I like his attitude. NFL young boy, whatever they want to call him. I think I think Kenny Pickett just needs to, throw it up to him. Let him go for it. Because he's gonna come out of it 9 times out of 10. But good win for the Steelers.
One thing really quick, Joey Porter Jr., congratulations. That was a great interception to seal the deal.
Yep.
To help seal the deal.
I agree. But no, that's going to make this division that much more interesting. I think all the teams are 3-2. Maybe the Browns are not. I think they might be 2-2.
I think they're 2-2 because they had the bye.
Yeah. And the Bengals are
2-3.
2-2. Yeah.
2-3.
So yeah, this division is going to be very interesting. It reminds me of watching this division growing up. But let's move on to the next game. This one was actually a really good game. I enjoyed watching this one very much. We did not predict it correctly, but it was a very entertaining game. Atlanta Falcons beat the Houston Texans 21-19, and
is that for Desmond Ridder
at his best game as an NFL professional quarterback? He actually looked like a quarterback, and he scored with his legs,
and he threw a touchdown.
he was slinging it. He looked
And
good.
guess who he also targeted a lot? Kyle fucking
Pitts?
Pitts. Kyle Pitts, I think he had 11 targets this game. It's
Yeah.
about time you utilize those strengths of your offense. Drake London balled out in the last like quarter of the game. I think he had like a couple good catches at the beginning, but like he definitely had that one remarkable catch. And Bijan Robinson, even though he didn't have like the stats don't really show like he did a lot, he still did a lot because, dude, that one like shovel pass where he caught behind his back almost, that was just insane.
was
Like
amazing.
Bijan Robinson is so good. And the defense is good, man. Like they've held opponents under like 24 points, I think.
I'll say this about the Falcons: when they're clicking, they're clicking. Like, and I think I hope this was a lesson for the Falcons that I know they want to run the ball, but run the ball to set up the pass. Like it's an old term, I know, but like you can't just run 8 run plays in a row. Like it's not. I mean, sometimes it's gonna work, but it's not going to work all the time. And it's not going to work against good teams. Like, I'm not taking too much away from the Falcons. Like, the Texans are a young team. They've been playing really good. I'm not going to call them a great team. I'm going to call them an up-and-coming team that's going to play upset to a lot of teams. But, you know, I want to see this more. I want to see more Desmond Ridder because he looked really good. I mean, I know it's one game. And
This gave me more hope in him. Like
Yeah.
it gave me the hope that he's not a complete bust. Because like I
Yeah.
wanted to pump the brakes a little bit, but my hope in him was diminishing. And this kind of gave me a little bit more hope. And not only that, the play calling, I know that you had called it out last week. It looked more creative this week. Like they were doing a little bit of trickery in there and it looked pretty decent. Like Arthur Smith actually came up with a good game plan. So I want to give him credit too. Like it was a good game plan by Arthur Smith. And
Yeah.
it was just an overall good game. Sorry to cut you off, Jake. I didn't mean to.
No. You're good. We can go to the Texans side of the ball.
Yeah.
And honestly, they didn't look that bad either. This was a competitive match on both sides of the ball. Both the defenses were playing good. Both the offenses were playing good. The only problem with the Texans is they couldn't cap off their drives with touchdowns.
Yeah.
They had too many field goals, and they just let it get away from them. You know, I'm gonna apologize because I don't know if I talked shit. No, I didn't really talk shit about CJ Stroud. I had my doubts about him coming into the draft. You know, Ohio State quarterbacks, you know, surrounded by that much
Talent.
god tier talent. You know, I feel like everyone would have their doubts, but you know what? He's proving the haters wrong. He's still balling out. I think he threw for another 300 yards. Oh no, 249. But you know, he still played pretty good.
Still hasn't thrown an interception. I think he's the second longest streak for a rookie quarterback in NFL history, which is
I
incredible.
think he passed it because I think Steve Young was the number one, and then I think he passed it or he tied it.
Maybe he did.
Yeah, but you know, both of these teams are young. Both of these teams are so young. You know, we got a second-year head coach. We got a first-year head coach. You know, damn near 2 rookie quarterbacks, young stud running backs, you know, young weapons on the outside. You know, you got Tank Dell, you got Mechie, you got on the other side. You know, these teams are going to be fun. I hope they're going to continue in this upward trend.
I'm definitely excited for the Houston Texans and Atlanta Falcons moving forward. I do have my doubts, I think, a little bit more with the Atlanta Falcons because I feel like they're so hot and cold. I think Houston gets a little bit more of a break or a little bit more give me because of how young they are. And it's a brand new head coach. I think Arthur Smith's actually been the head coach for 3 years now. But I could be wrong. Either way, I think that
I'm going to have to look that up.
I think both of these teams, they're doing a good job this year. I don't think that they're elite by any means, but they're competitive in every game that they play. Like neither of these teams are going to get blown out. And yeah, man, I'm excited to see where these teams go. It was good to see Dalton Schultz finally get utilized in the Houston Texans offense. I think he was the only one who came down with a touchdown. But yeah, I think Houston Texans should be really happy with their defensive performance as well. I think D'Amico Ryan has come in and done a great job.
Okay, you're right, Dane. This is his 3rd year coaching.
Yeah.
All right. No, I agree with you. I do have my doubts more with the Falcons. I mean, this is Desmond Ritter's first game, good game. Granted, he's still like, if you want to go like games played, he's still a rookie. I think this is his 8th game played, maybe his 9th. So, and he's not in a pass friendly offense, I don't think. So I'm gonna give him some more leeway. He just looked really, really good this weekend. So hopefully he can build off of it. Let's move on to the next game. Dane, we both picked this one. It was probably one of the most.
By the way,
blowouts.
Did we both pick Houston to win?
Yes, we did.
So we did get that one incorrect. Yes.
Yeah.
And we both picked Baltimore, which we got wrong as well.
Yes. So this next game, we got the Detroit Lions manhandling the Carolina Panthers, man. 42-24.
These are my darlings right now. Like, if you guys listen to any of our preseason content, I was hyping the Detroit Lions up. Like, I was really high on them at the start of the season, and they're kind of showing why. I don't think that they've played the best teams, but it's good to see them dominate lesser opponents. That's what a good team should do. And Jared Goff.
I agree.
Jared Goff is much better at home. I get that. But he went off. And this is without his top wide receiver in Amon-Ra St. Brown. He's out. Jahmyr Gibbs was out. David Montgomery's still doing his things. Sam Laporta and him are having one of those like connections where it reminds me kind of like Phillip Rivers and Antonio Gates. Mm-hmm. It's way too early to like compare the two, but the development of how quickly they've built this rapport and connection with one another is amazing to see. Sam Laporta, I think, has scored in like the last 3 games straight, which is awesome to see. Jared Goff threw for, I think he threw for 3 touchdowns, rushed for 1. And the Detroit Lions defense is
3 touchdowns.
The Detroit Lions defense is balling out this year. Like, they look good. Aiden Hutchinson is a freak. He's showing why he is a number 1 pick, and I love it, man. Or was he a number 2 pick? He was the number 2 pick.
He was the number 2.
Yeah.
The Jags fucked up, honestly. I mean, Trayvon Walker has been playing really good, but I think Aiden Hutchinson is just a tier better.
I agree.
And I'll say this. We want to talk about Defensive Player of the Year with TJ Watt. Aiden Hutchinson is playing in that level right now. Like, he's playing really good.
And he had an interception this game.
Yeah. Yeah, it was just silly, man. And I love the Lions. Like, I do want them to do good. I want them to play better teams. They did have the loss against Seattle, unfortunately, but their one good win was against the Chiefs. I want to see them go up against some higher level competition, but they're not. This is the Lions are for real. Like, this is a good team. They have elite players all over the field. The defense has greatly improved. They have one of the best offensive lines. Jared Goff, I always say it, Jared Goff is going to play a stinker of a game, and he really hasn't played it yet. He's thrown some interceptions here and there, but
it'll probably come up when he plays a road game against a good defense. Like, it is to be expected. I agree 100%.
Yeah, I'm not saying I want him to, but it's just, it's happened time and time again.
It's par for the course.
Yeah, but I agree with you. I love everything the Lions are doing. I'm here. These fans are deserving of a good team.
Yes.
And honestly, I think they'll probably win a playoff game. Potentially. This is my hot take for the Lions NFC Championship
against the 49ers.
Yeah, and I'll say this: I don't think the Lions are on the 49ers level yet, but they are damn near close. I just love what the Lions are doing. They're for real. They are for real.
I think the thing that I love the most about them, and then we can get really quick into the Carolina Panthers, is just how hard they play.
Yeah,
like, they come out every game with their hair on fire. Like, this is a well-coached team. I think Dan Campbell has done an amazing job. It took a couple years, because the first 2 years of his tenure, he did not look like he was going to turn this franchise around. And then last year, near the end of the season, they turned it around a little bit. And then this year, they're off to a hot start. Like, he has kept the momentum going. This team is dude, this team is aggressive. Like, this team is not afraid to hit you. And I love the whole thing when he got hired about biting the kneecaps off. He's showing it. And then that one quote he had where he's like, oh, you don't have to look that hard to find us or whatever. Anyone who wants to find us, come knock at our door or whatever the hell he said. I'm kind of paraphrasing what he said.
Yeah.
It's something along those lines. But dude, that is just some dog mentality. And I am here for it.
Yeah. Everything about this team it's hard not to like, honestly. Unless you're in that division or a fan of another team in that division, it's hard not to root for this team. You know, you got the likable coach, likable players, and they're good too.
And we told you, Zach. We told you. We knew it.
Yeah, if he's even listening to this. But for the Carolina Panthers side of the ball, they might be.
Thielen looks good.
Yeah, Thielen had a little bit of a renaissance. He went for 107 and a touchdown. You know, Bryce Young probably played his best game. I mean, stat-wise, 247 yards. But, you know,
still
even
had the bad interceptions.
Yeah, the bad interceptions. Still looks like a rookie out there. I'm not going to take too much away from it. This team's not that great, and I think they played one of the best teams in the NFL. So I'm ready to move on.
Let's do it.
All right, this next game we both predicted. Miami Dolphins beat the Giants 31-16. And man, are the Giants bad or what?
I will say really quick, I think the Giants defense actually played decent this game. They had I think they had their longest pick six in franchise history, 102 yards. They intercepted Tua twice, I think, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, they got after Tua a little bit, but then Miami's offense just kind of showed out near the second half. I mean, it started with like a 60-yard bomb to Tyreek Hill. Devon Achane he's that guy. I think he only had 11 rushes and it was over 100 yards, something like that. Like they just have
51.
Yeah, it is ridiculous the speed that they have on this team. Raheem Mostert, Devon Achane, Jalen Waddle, he also had a touchdown. Tyreek Hill, he had a touchdown. This team is just legit.
You know, kind of had a little bit of a resurgence. Cedric Wilson. Everyone, you know, always wants to focus on the new hot running back or the really fast wide receivers, but Cedric Wilson's been on this team for quite some time, and you know, he's fast as fuck too, and he was getting some looks, man. Like, you have a fourth option, and Braxton Berrios, dude. Like, this team is gonna be fun. I think I said it earlier. This was my dark horse Super Bowl pick. I'll say this though. They beat up on inferior teams, and they played the Buffalo Bills, and they got smacked. I want to see them. I want to see them play like this against, you know, I don't know what their schedule looks like. I'd have to look at it, but I want to see them play like this against top tier talent, because then we'll just have another Cowboy situation on our hands. I think their offense is better than the Cowboys.
Yeah, I think they have some good opponents coming up in the next couple of weeks, if I'm not mistaken.
Right on. We will see. I think they're great. I like them. I love the coach. I love, like, half the players are former 49er players. So I do like what they're doing, but the Giants, man, you know,
Daniel Jones gets injured. Tyrod Taylor, he got banged up near the end. And this offense is just bad. It is bad.
They finally got Darren Waller going. So good for that. But it's not just the quarterback. It really isn't.
The offensive line is atrocious.
Yeah. This offensive line is probably one of the worst units I've seen. Like, it's bad.
You had mentioned a block by Evan Neal. Do you want to elaborate on that?
Pretty much, he has a DN lined up in his face, and like a swinging revolving door, just doesn't even like look at him. Looks at the inside technique, and I don't know what their passing protection was. You know, maybe he thought he was getting running back help, but no one came to his side, and it was literally just a wide open lane to the quarterback. It was bad. This entire offensive line is bad. They need to take. I'm not giving Daniel Jones any leeway here, but this offensive line needs to take a bulk of the blame because they look really bad. Like also, like I mean, it's not just Daniel Jones. Look at the running backs. They both rush for what 30 yards,
20 yards, I think. But
Eric Gray 25 yards.
yeah,
Matt Breida 21 yards.
I mean, it doesn't help that Saquon's not out there, but you got to figure out something because if you become so predictable in just passing the ball with an inferior quarterback, in my opinion, and Daniel Jones, you're not going to have success. Go ahead.
I like I like that they got Wandell going a little bit. He looked a little bit.
I think Wandell looks pretty good. He's shifty. He can make some dudes miss. He's a little bit of a burner. He's not like your elite long speed or long stride receiver, but he kind of reminds me of a little bit like Zay Flowers, like the rookie from Baltimore this year. Like he can make some people miss, cut on a dime, but there's just not enough talent also on this team. And it was kind of a shock to us that they made it to the playoffs and won a playoff game last year. But I think that's kind of a testament to how good Saquon Barkley is as well. Saquon Barkley he's one of the best running backs when he's healthy. The unfortunate thing is Saquon can never stay healthy. He's had one season where he's been healthy in the last 4 years.
Yeah, like his rookie year. Yeah, I mean, the Giants are bad, man. They're pretty bad.
Yeah.
But I'm ready to I'm done talking about them. Let's go on to the next game. This game was actually pretty entertaining. We both got this pick correct. Cincinnati Bengals beat the Cardinals 34-20. And yeah, good job, Bengals. You beat a team you're supposed to beat. I will say this. I'm still nervous for the Bengals because even though Jamar Chase went absolutely apeshit on that defense.
Yeah, baby. Let's go, fantasy.
The Cardinals were still in this game.
Bro, that offensive line for the Bengals is god awful.
Yeah,
the Cardinals the Cardinals were getting after Joe Burrow. One thing that I will say about Joe Burrow, he actually looked like he could he was a little bit more mobile. He looked like he could escape the pocket a little bit. He had a rush this game where it was for 12 yards. So maybe that strain's getting a little bit better, maybe. But one thing about Joe Burrow, he still didn't look completely accurate. He had a lot of good passes, but then there were some throws that were behind his receiver. There were a couple low passes, a couple that were over the head of some of the receivers. This could be the strain, but yeah, man, the Cardinals were in this game for a good 3 quarters, and then it kind of got out of hand a little bit. This was the Jamar Chase show, and it's rightfully so. You have one of the best wide receivers in the entire NFL on your team. You had the connection in college at LSU. Rely on him. And the defense for the Bengals, they stepped up when they needed to, but Hollywood Brown, I want to give credit to him on Arizona. He looked good. Rondell Moore looked good. James Conner looked good till he got injured. And then
who looks really good?
Josh Dobbs.
Yeah.
Josh Dobbs looks good, man. He looks like a starting NFL quarterback, which is crazy because he's a traveler. He's like a Ryan Fitzpatrick.
Dude, what are the odds that so obviously the Cardinals are not in last place at the moment. I mean, they won one game? They're 1-4, correct?
One. Yeah, they're 1-4. But they've been in every game that they played. Yeah. Like some of the scores at the end of the game don't match how good of a game it was, in my opinion. I think that they've been in every game, and then it kind of gets out of hand a little bit.
They 100% have been in every game. 100%. And that is why I've ranked them so high in my power rankings, because they have played harder and looked better than the bottom 10 in this league. Yeah. What are the odds if maybe they win a couple more games and they miss out on the first overall pick? You think they maybe trade Kyler to someone who wants him and just roll with Dobbs? I mean, I know Kyler is probably better, but this team is in rebuild mode. So what if but maybe they could get a shit ton of first rounder picks for Kyler and just roll with Dobbs, because Dobbs, honestly, like I think he's a starter in this league. The way he has played this year, he might be having a Geno Smith resurgence.
Yeah,
I don't know. It's probably highly unlikely, but
I will say
it's just an option.
I will say it's a hot take, but I do agree to a certain extent. I think that Josh Dobbs has really proven fans wrong, because he's traveled, he's been on multiple teams, never really had the opportunity, had a couple starts in Tennessee last year, didn't look great, but that's because Tennessee didn't have any receiving options, and the Cardinals may not have like a good receiving core, but he's been able to be the starter. He had the opportunity to come in, learn the playbook a little bit, kind of last minute a little bit, but he's been the starter every game so far, and he's had time to grow. And he's kind of showing that he can be a starting NFL quarterback. Like, I'm not saying he's elite or he's great, but he's competent. Like, he's I would say he's a little bit better than a game manager, because he can make some big time throws. His receivers help him out, and he can run. Like, he makes good decisions too most of the time. He had a couple plays in this game where it wasn't pretty. I mean, he had 2 interceptions, and I think that they were almost back to back, but for the most part, I think that he plays pretty well. I don't think that they get rid of Kyler.
I'll say this. In my opinion, I think Joshua Dobbs is far more likable than Kyler Murray.
I agree with that. I agree with that 100%.
He seems more of a
team player.
Yeah, he seems like a team guy. He seems like a blue collar dude, and he seems
good
more of a
locker
guy.
Room presence. Good locker room presence.
He seems more of a guy like that's gonna buy in to what this coach is doing and grow and be a leader in that locker room.
Agreed.
To me, he kind of reminds me of Case Keenum back when he was on the Vikings,
Minnesota. Yep.
Yeah, and they kind of fucked up by signing Kirk Cousins, and then look how, what have they done since Kirk Cousins? It's kind of different. Oops, sorry about that, guys. I don't know. I like Josh Dobbs, and I do like what the Cardinals are doing. Like, I know I should hate them right now or whatever, because I'm a division rival, but like I said, I'm extremely proud, or I would be extremely proud if I was a Cardinal fan, because they are not, their record doesn't show it, but they are not,
they're not laying over. Yeah, they're not laying
Yeah.
over, letting teams walk all over them. I think the Cardinals have a lot to be proud of. And, Hollywood Brown is showing that he can be a really good starting NFL wide receiver. He's having a great year. He's a burner. He can make moves. Rondell Moore, like I already said, he's looking good. So, and
he just needs to stay healthy.
Yeah, I think the defense, even though that they are giving up a significant amount of points, they make big time plays. They sack the quarterback. They get after it. They tackle pretty well. I like the Cardinals, even though their record doesn't indicate that they're a good team.
Yeah, honestly, I wouldn't want to face them constantly, because they definitely could play upset. All right, let's move on to the next one. This game was pretty entertaining for the first half. But we both actually, this is where I caught up.
Yep.
Dane predicted the Rams. I predicted the Eagles.
Yep.
And the Eagles won 23-14.
Yeah.
Both these quarterbacks didn't look the greatest.
I think Jalen Hurts had a better game. It looked a little bit better with him passing the ball, but I can't put my finger on it. It just does not look the same. I don't know if it's the scheme or what it is. Jalen Hurts doesn't look the same, but he had some passes this game that were like pinpoint, that were like right on the money, where only his receiver could catch it. I mean, AJ Brown had a fantastic game.
Dallas Goedert had a great game.
Yeah, Dallas Goedert had a great game on my bench. Fucker.
First one of the season.
Yeah.
DeAndre Swift didn't really have his dominant performance on the ground. And I think that's what kind of helped the Eagles or pushed them to throw more.
The Rams rush defense is actually pretty good. It is a lot better than I thought it would. And Byron Young, dude, from Tennessee, their rookie.
Yeah, he's nice.
He has a high motor. He reminds me of a Max Crosby that just does not give up.
I think when I was watching this game, I think the announcer said he runs a 4-3 or something like that.
Dude, he runs something ridiculous. Like he's a fast man.
What was his position? Linebacker or
He's
D end?
He's a D end.
A 4-3 at D end, bro. That's insane. You know, I don't know. Like, I'm happy. You know, Cooper Kupp came back, so I'm happy for the Rams because
First game back, he looked dominant again.
he looked dominant, and they still used Puka. You know, Tutu got a touchdown. I said at the beginning of this season, I think the Rams are going to win more games than we think they are. And if they can stay healthy, if Matthew Stafford can, you know, cut down the interceptions, I don't think he had one this game, but
Nope.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just like, I think they're young and, you know, they have some pieces to grow on. So I think maybe in a couple years they could be pretty good. Or maybe next year, pretty good. I still think they're like just a year removed from being a possible playoff team or playoff contention team. But, you know, it wasn't that bad of a game. I think Philadelphia just, you know, ended up getting up, and then that dominant O-line just dominated towards the end. And that's stupid. I'm honestly, maybe I'm just salty because the 49ers never do this play, but the brotherly push or whatever the hell it's called, the tush push, that shit is getting on my nerves more than Taylor Swift and Travis
Did you hear
Kelce
that they're trying to ban it in the NFL?
Yeah, they were talking about banning it last year.
I don't think that they should, because here's the thing. I hate that play like more than anything, because especially when it comes to fantasy, because if you have DeAndre Swift like I do and you're on the 1 yard line, guess what? It's going to Jalen Hurts because they're going to do that play. The only thing is, any team can do it, but no one can do it as well as the Eagles. Like, they just have it down. So I don't think that you can ban something that a team is good at. It's just freaking annoying.
Yeah. They also have like probably the best O-line in the league. So that's probably why it helps.
They do. I mean, having Jason Kelce up there as your center and then just everyone else is just, it's good.
Yeah. But good win for the Eagles. They remain undefeated, 5-0. And they helped me get back one on you, Dane.
They did.
This next game we both predicted, and it was a close one. It was pretty entertaining, actually. The New York Jets beat the Denver Broncos 31-21. And Breece Hall was back. He was dominant. He had a great game. But I think that is just a testament to how bad the Broncos are. The Broncos suck, dude. They really do. You know, Russell Wilson.
The Broncos offense actually looks decent this year. But what the fuck happened to the defense? I'm not saying that they're like great, Jake, but like compared to last year.
Oh yeah, no.
Russell Wilson had more bathrooms in his house than touchdown passes. This year, I think he's already broken that.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that. Russell Wilson looks like old Russell Wilson. I think he'll be fine. It's just like piecing things together. I think they're still figuring things out. Maybe a year, maybe next year they'll be like a dominant team. But I agree with you. Like, that defense, I don't know what the hell happened to it. It is
Vance Joseph, apparently.
Yeah, I mean, they got rid of Randy Gregory
to the 49ers. Yeah. Crazy.
For nickels and dimes. I'm sorry. But
I mean, it's still not as bad as the Chargers getting rid of JC Jackson, who they gave $2 million to send him back to New England.
Yikes. But on the Jets side of the ball, Zach Wilson looked okay. Not as good as last week against the Chiefs.
Not even close.
Yeah, they won. So I'll give them that. Breece Hall and that defense, man, that is the recipe.
Yeah.
That is 100% the recipe if they're going to win games. Breece Hall is probably like one of my second favorite young running backs because I drafted both him and Kenneth Walker in my league last year, and I think I would have won if they would have both stayed healthy. But you know, I digress. No, I love me some Breece Hall. I really do. And this defense, it looked great. So yeah, Any other takeaways, Dane?
Nope, I think that's it. Good win for the Jets. I'm happy for Nathaniel Hackett, getting back at Sean Payton for his remarks earlier in the season.
Piece of shit. All right, this next game, Kansas City Chiefs. We picked them. We both picked them, correct? Yes, we did. We picked them to win, and they did, beating the Minnesota Vikings 27-20. And is that good enough? Is that a good enough response for this game?
It's interesting because the score indicates that it was a much better game than it was. I mean, Justin Jefferson got injured this game, which is very unfortunate for the Vikings, who are now 1-4. Travis Kelce, who looked like he tore his Achilles at one point, just has an ankle sprain, came back in the game and scored a touchdown. I mean, this game was all right. I don't know. It just didn't seem as exciting as the score would indicate, in my opinion. There was not really a rushing attack from the Chiefs. Patrick Mahomes, he had a good game, 281 and 2. But I don't know, man. It was just all right to me. I think if Justin Jefferson would have stayed healthy, it would have been a much better game, because maybe near the end of the game, the Vikings could have scored. I think Jordan Addison stepped up to the plate and kind of did pretty well. Not great by any means, but he still had the touchdown, 6 for 64. The rushing attack for the Vikings, though, just could not get going, man. Alexander Mattison had like 26 yards.
Right when you think he turned a corner, he went back to his old self.
Have you seen the stat for the Vikings running game this year?
No.
The Vikings have not had a running back break a single tackle this year.
What?
That is insane.
How is that possible?
Not a single broken tackle this year. They are
How
down
is that
by
possible?
No idea. They get down on first contact.
Oh my god. That's hilarious. Yeah, man. The Vikings, I don't know what they do from here. I mean, maybe they could go on a win streak. Lucky for them, the NFC is still, weaker than the AFC. They might be able to, if they could piece together some wins, they could sneak into playoffs still. And they have the talent to do it. They have the quarterback to do it, not on prime time. Kirk Cousins is like the second leading passer in the NFL right now. Like, his stats are through the roof. And it's probably because they can't run the freaking ball. Maybe they just needed Dalvin Cook. I don't know. He doesn't look that great on the Jets. But, I just wasn't impressed with either one of these teams. And, when Travis Kelce went down for the couple of plays, we kind of saw what Pat Mahomes was working with. And I'm just not impressed with this wide receiver group.
No.
And
Rashee Rice, I will say, is kind of a somewhat bright spot. I have not hope, but I'm encouraged by the way that he looks. Maybe he's not utilized correctly, but as a rookie, he looks like he could be utilized and be like a key component to this offense. I think he looks pretty decent.
All right. That was okay. We have 2 more games. Let's get into the best game of the week. Not really. It was probably the worst game of the week, but good if you're a 49er fan.
It was the most hyped game of the week. It was supposed to be the best game of the week, and it turned into an absolute blow. Let me just get my few comments out of the way, and then I'll let you elaborate on whatever you want. Go ahead.
Real quick. We both picked the 49ers. They dominated the Cowboys 42-10. Take it away, Dan.
I want to say this. Brock Purdy, and I was texting you about this. I think that his draft position kind of overshadowed his talent a little bit, because Brock Purdy has it, man. He is, I would honestly say he's top 10 quarterback in the NFL, if not better. He processes the game. I'll let you elaborate, but he processes the game, I think, faster than most veteran quarterbacks. Like, he just understands NFL defenses. He's not the biggest, he's not the strongest, doesn't have the best arm, but he's pinpoint. He can literally drop a dime over a defender's head in tight coverage, consistently. He'll have one bad throw here and there, a little bit behind, a little bit low, whatever. But then some of the plays that you're watching, just like these 20 to 30 yard passes, 15-yard passes, I'd say like the intermediate range is his specialty.
Mm-hmm.
Long ball maybe could use a little bit of work, but it's still pretty good. But his intermediate passing, like decent chunk yard plays, are elite. And it's crazy to think, but I actually think the 49ers offense might actually be better than their defense. And the defense is insane. It's a hot take, but this offense, it is stacked with talent. George Kittle went off. Christian McCaffrey didn't even have the best game, still had a good game. Brandon Ayuk, great. Deebo Samuel, great. This offensive line, great. And then you go to the defensive side of the ball, Nick Bosa, absolute freaking beast. The DBs, beasts. I'll just finish by saying this. The Cowboys shit the bed. They looked god fucking awful. And it might just be that's how good the 49ers are. I think it is. But I think this kind of exposed Mike McCarthy a little bit in his play calling. It was bad. Dak did not do him any favors, though. Dak looked atrocious. This offensive line couldn't do anything. The running game couldn't get going anywhere. CeeDee Lamb was shut down. And the Dallas defense was out there so much, but they were just giving up play after play after play. Brock Purdy torched them. I'm not trying to like get your ego too much, Jake, but if the 49ers don't win the Super Bowl this year, I will be surprised because they look like the most juggernaut team I have seen in the last decade. Like they are that good this year. And I think Brock Purdy's the missing piece that they were looking for. I really do. So yeah, take it away.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. I never like to pick my team to win the Super Bowl. I haven't done it. I've never done it. Like I've never said my team's going to win the Super Bowl this year. I think this is the year. If they don't, I don't know what more they can do. Maybe just more experience with Brock Purdy, honestly. No, this is the best quarterback that Kyle Shanahan has had. And I agree with you. Like his processing ability is insane. That's his superpower. He's super accurate. You know, he doesn't have a giant arm. He's not like super athletic. He's not giant. Fun fact. Would you believe me if I said that Jalen Hurts and Brock Purdy were the exact same size?
No.
Because they are. They're both 6'1".
Insane.
Yeah. They're both 6'1", 220 pounds. And I just thought it was a fun fact. No, this team does look like the best team in the NFL. They have, and they proved it against an elite defense, or at least a defense that can beat up on inferior opponents, because that's what the Cowboys have been getting away with. And I agree with you. I think this is the first year where the 49ers offense is actually better than their defense, but their defense is still elite. Like they still, like I wasn't sure if they were going to have the number one defense still. I thought it was going to be the Cowboys. I think the Cowboys took a little bit of a hit with losing Trayvon Diggs. I still think they're a good defense, but after this, I think, you know, the 49ers I still think they have a top 3 defense. And they just proved it against a good, or I can't even say a good team. I don't know what the Cowboys are. Yeah, no, I truly believe this is the year. If they don't, it's because they choke. They, you know, drop an interception or they choke in the playoffs. I don't know. They look like the best team in the NFL, in my opinion. And I think week 13.
I want to add to that, Jake.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think any team looks close. Like, I'm not trying to stroke your ego right now, but
No, you're not, because we know it.
The 49ers, and it fucking sucks to say, because it's like, as a fan of the NFL and like the Chargers in general, I have waited so long for me to be confident in my team. The last time I was confident in my team was like 2009. So 14 years ago. And then I think in my entirety of my NFL viewing experience in my entire life, I think this might be the best team I've ever seen. It is that insane. It is absolutely ridiculous. I mean, obviously it's a little bit different game than it was back in the earlier 2000s before like the player safety enactment or whatever the hell it's called. But for the modern NFL, like it's crazy. Like the 49ers, it kind of just looks like a runaway. And obviously things can change, injuries can happen. I hope they don't. I hope your team stays healthy. But dude, honestly, I hope the 49ers win for you because they look like they should.
Yeah, I really do hope they win. And, but one of the biggest things is they've stayed healthy, knock on wood. Our starting left guard has like a shoulder strain. It's not, I don't think it's anything serious. Maybe he'll be out a week or two. So, they stayed healthy so far. And that was the key back in 2019 when they went to the Super Bowl. Everyone stayed healthy. And that was a young team. That was like, that was a very young team. It was rookie Debo. Brandon Ayuk wasn't even on the team. So they look great. The Cowboys, however, did not. Dak Prescott looked absolutely terrible. Got picked off 3 times. And it's not like he even had the 49ers didn't even get that much pressure on him. Like they weren't in his face like all the time. He was just throwing bad balls. And they were getting batted, second chance effort.
I do not think Dak is a good quarterback. I
don't.
I think he had a good rookie campaign, and since then, like the team's been good, but dude, Dak is not that good.
I think I've seen some quarterback lists, and they're always putting Prescott over Purdy, and the way Purdy has been playing this year,
dude. If we're basing Purdy's year this year, I would say Purdy's top 3.
Oh yeah,
like
I think
he hasn't even thrown an interception this year, has he?
No,
he's 10-0. He's 10-0 in his career in regular season games. And I mean, they would have been a lot more competitive against the Eagles last year if he didn't get injured. So the only game that he ever lost, he got injured in. So he wasn't even the quarterback for. He was, but he only handed the ball off.
Yeah.
So technically, Brock Purdy has never lost when he is healthy, which is
insane. Also, I think I agree with you. I think his draft status definitely overshadows his skill because let's just say he was Bryce Young this year. If he was the number 1 pick, or even CJ Stroud, if he was the number 1 pick, he would be getting so much fucking love. I mean, he already kind of is because like it's hard to like take away from what he's doing now. Like it's undeniable now, I think. But I think, some people need to put some more respect on Purdy's name because he's really good. And if you don't agree with me, just go watch JT O'Sullivan's quarterback school on him. Like it's very eye opening because you could see, the game or the highlights, but when you're like looking at it from like an Eagles, like it's pretty phenomenal what he's doing so far, and I love it. Like I love Jimmy, but Purdy is. We'll talk about Jimmy in a second, but like Purdy is on a different level than Jimmy. And I think this is what Shanahan needed. I think this is what Shanahan thought Trey Lance was going to be.
Yep.
Because, Brock Purdy is a little bit mobile. Like he can move in the pocket. And to me, like he reminds me of Drew Brees, like super accurate. Not a crazy arm, but he was a little bit mobile. He can move the pocket. And he was a leader. And I think that's why he reminds me of Drew Brees. But I could talk about 49ers all day, but great win. On to the next. All right. This last game, is kind of entertaining, kind of in a bad sort of way. But this is where I caught up to Dane finally. Dane picked the Packers. I picked the Raiders. I had a feeling. I knew the Raiders were going to win some games, and I think the Packers were just one of those teams that were bad enough to lose to the Raiders. Raiders won 17-13, and it was not pretty on either side of the ball.
Oh my God. Jordan Love.
Yeah.
This was for everyone who was saying Jordan Love is going to be the next Aaron Rodgers. You are high. I sent Jake an image from the game of Jordan Love's first interception. Mm-hmm. That was one of the worst interceptions I have ever seen in my life. he threw 0 touchdowns and 3 interceptions this game. One of them I don't think was necessarily on his fault, but it was still in tight coverage that a defender got their hand on and it was tipped up. But the first interception in particular, there are no words to describe an NFL quarterback throwing that type. The receiver was like 7 yards away and he threw it right to the middle linebacker. It was atrocious. And granted, Aaron Jones wasn't in this game, but Christian Watson was healthy. And I think Green Bay's defense, I'll say this, there is a bright spot. I think Green Bay's defense played pretty well.
Mm-hmm. I agree with that.
But Jordan Love, he pissed me off. Yeah. Because it was so frustrating to watch a quarterback who's had all this hype from the fan base just perform the way he did. And every quarterback is going to have off games. I get that. But he looked awful.
Yeah.
And I don't even have any words to say. I don't think it was much better on Jimmy G's side. I really don't.
Oh, definitely not. Definitely not.
But this was a battle of defenses, it felt like, for the majority of the game. Max Crosby had a good game for the Raiders. I mean, they intercepted him 3 times, so the DBs balled out. Like you said, the Raiders are going to win some games. And I think this kind of shines some light a little bit on the Jordan Love situation. He is not that guy yet. Maybe he can get there. Yeah, maybe he can get there. Potentially. I don't see it. I really don't, especially after this performance. Some quarterbacks have it and some quarterbacks don't. And maybe this is like a Desmond Ridder situation where eventually he'll have a really good game. I still don't think Desmond Ridder is that guy, but there is the potential to have good games. It's just, it was ugly, man. The Green Bay Packers offense just did not look good.
Yeah. I've never been a believer in Jordan Love. I've never saw any flashes of talent. Well, okay, let me say that again. I never saw something that showed me he's going to be elite in this league. Maybe he's a starter, maybe. But, that depends on if a team's just going to keep giving him a contract or because they like the guy or something. Doesn't mean he's good, or at least better. Obviously, he's better than me and you, but is he better than the 32 best quarterbacks in the league? I don't know. Also, not a fan of Matt LaFleur. I don't think he's a good coach. And I think Aaron Rodgers helped him greatly, and he's kind of showing his true colors with very minimal talent on his team, at least on the offensive side of the ball. I think the defense is pretty good. Unfortunately, I think Quay Walker got hurt. I don't know how serious it is, but we'll see. AJ Dillon had his best game. I hope you started him. I will never go through that experiment again. Christian Watson, he's fast as fucking sin. If he gets some space, if Jordan Love, I think the problem with Jordan Love, he's like the complete opposite of Brock Purdy. He's not confident. He's not decisive. And I think he goes through his progressions way too fast, and he doesn't let things build.
Develop.
He's he's like a little deer out there. He has zero confidence in the pocket.
The last interception that he threw, Christian Watson was open by a mile for 2 full seconds, and then he's like, and then throws it at the last second when the defensive back can gain ground on him. He missed. Christian Watson almost had, I was texting Jake as well. Christian Watson almost had a phenomenal fantasy game as well, and a phenomenal game. He still had a good game. He almost had 100 receiving yards on 3 catches, but he could have had 6 for $120 or 5 for $115, whatever it was, and a touchdown. It was quarterback play. It was quarterback play 100%. Yep.
And on the Raiders side of the ball, Jimmy didn't look great at all. He had one good drive where he finally started throwing it to Devontae. Dude, Devontae has got to be so frustrated being on this team right now. He didn't want to go play with Jimmy Garoppolo. He wanted to play with his boy Derek Carr. I would not be surprised in the slightest if Devontae Adams requests a trade, or if they're already working on something, because this man, he is a top 3 wide receiver in my opinion. He's probably one of my favorite wide receivers.
Still.
Yeah, still, even on that team. Yeah, I would not be surprised if he gets traded to another team or forces his way out. Jacoby Myers is nice. He looks like Jimmy Garoppolo's favorite friend. And then Josh Jacobs had himself a decent game. He did get the touchdown. I think he only rushed for 69 yards. Hey, 420 blaze it. But like you said, the defense they actually played good today. Max Crosby is an animal. I love that dude.
I honestly think Max Crosby should be in consideration for Defensive Player of the Year as well. Like he is consistently getting pressures and sacks. I don't think he's the best, but he's up there. Though. He is up there. He should definitely be in consideration for Defensive Player of the Year because no matter who the tackle he's going against, he gets pressure.
I think if we want to talk about Defensive Player of the Years, I got TJ Watt, Myles Garrett,
Micah Parsons,
Matt Crosby. I'm not going to put Micah Parsons up there.
I am.
Okay. Before this week. Okay. Or before this week. Okay. You're right. I'm going to put Micah Parsons there. He had one really bad game. I got to go.
Aiden Hutchinson.
Oh yeah. Aiden Hutchinson. Those are my top 5 right now. And the only reason I'm not putting Bosa up there is because he has like 1.5 sacks.
But he's also getting consistently double teamed and chipped.
Yeah.
Which is what happens to the elite players.
Yep.
Joey Bosa, Aaron Donald.
Yep. So, but that was week 5, ladies and gents. I did pretty good. I got 10 out of 14 games. Dane, not so
I think I only got 8 this week, which is funny because the last week I got 13?
I think we both got 13. No, okay, so you got 12, or I got 12. Oh man, you might be 1 game ahead of me.
No, I think you caught up. I think I was only up by 2. I think you caught me this week.
Oh, you are right.
No.
You are right. We are tied, ladies and gents. I'll do the counter at the end of the season, but we are tied. Thank you for listening, guys. Dane, close us out.
All right, guys. Follow us here. Like, comment, subscribe. Anything you do to help this podcast grow, we would greatly appreciate. Fucking listen to the video.
Yeah, do it. All right. Thanks for listening. As always, peace.